Now we're going to take a look at the reading and writing fill in the blanks today. And we're going to look at the first one. Because remember, I'm redoing these videos and there are 150. And we're going to start with number 1. Let me maximize the screen for you so we can take a look and see what we're working with. I think we can do one more. There you go. Now, it fits on the screen, right? Oops, let me scroll up a little bit. There you go. So we have 4 blanks in this one. And for the reading and writing fill in the blanks, we need to understand that this one is usually the most difficult. Why? Because we can't really apply grammar unless they ask us a grammatical question, right? Because you're not going to be able to do parts of speech here. So sometimes they'll ask you a grammar question. Nowadays, when I take the exam, it's been as frequent as 50%. It's been up to 50% that is grammar. So that's a good thing, because if you know the rules, you can actually analyze these. But they're always going to have vocabulary and collocations. So when we're doing this, if it's grammar, I'll point it out. If it's collocation, I'll point it out. But if it's vocabulary, you just need to know. So how do you improve reading? Reading. There ain't no shortcuts around it. If you want to build vocabulary, you're going to have to read. So let's take a look at the first one. For me, I always look at the drop-down list first. I want to know what I'm working with. I don't actually read the sentence right away. Sometimes, honestly, I don't read the sentence at all. So when I see the 4 options right here, one thing stands out to me. Right away, I know they're asking me a grammatical question. It's tenses. They're checking to see if I can identify the tense in this sentence. But there's one thing that stands out, and that is the word completed. Why? We need to check to see if completed is the answer first. How come? Because this is the only one that is active voice. What is that? Well, if you don't know, you gotta know. This is one of the rules. All 3 options here are passive voice. Was completed, is completed, has been completed. They're all passive. So if we can just check right away completed, then we will know if we're dealing with passive or active, right? So what I mean by that is, can we say it completed? In. It completed in. When you speak English, when you use the verb complete, I complete, right? This is very ugly. I'm writing with my mouse. I complete. What kind of word do you write after complete? If you write complete with an active voice, do you agree? I complete something. I should have written something shorter. I should have written it. Okay, so now I gotta write this ugly word right here. I complete something. Does that sound complete to you? I hope so. If that is a complete sentence to you, it means that complete does not need a preposition. Okay, complete does not need a preposition, so that means right here we have a preposition. We should be speaking in the passive voice. So when we're dealing with the passive voice, we have 3 of them. Is, was, and has. And now we're dealing with time. So you need to scan the sentence to see what time you are talking about. But this one right away, you see it, right? You tell me you see it. The 1889. When you're dealing with something that is a specific year, there's no from, there's no since, it just says in 1889, then you are dealing with the simple past. You're dealing with the past tense. So it was completed. Of course, when you complete something, it's completed in the past. You're not going to say has completed, because has completed means from the past to the present. So why are you still completing it now? Right? So the first one I would pick was completed. Now let's go to the second one right here. All right, so this one right here is vocabulary. They're dealing with vocabulary. So when we see this right here, we're going to have to read a little bit, okay? Because the vocabulary we're dealing with: renovated, constructed, devised, invented. Okay, so we're talking about a building, right? We're talking about a building. So, what kind of word do we usually use for building? Well, actually, we can use all. Like, not all, I'm sorry. Renovated, constructed. You don't invent a building. You do not invent a building. Like, blah, wada, right? I don't know what kind of sound that was, but I guess that's what people do when they invent shit. But basically, do you agree? We can renovate a building or construct a building. But now I'm confused because I need to have more information to determine that. So I'm going to read a little bit more. And then now I see the clue. I see the clue. And the clue is demolished. If they are telling you when this building was demolished, it means gone. It's never coming back. What do you think they're telling you about 1885? Are they telling you when they renovated the building or when they constructed the building? For me, I would say constructed because that is like the day the building was born, and this is the day the building died. You see the opposites? I would go with constructed. That's vocabulary. All right, kind of collocation because of building, but the other word renovated would work as well. So it's reading, it's dealing with vocabulary, things like that. Let's go to the next one. All right, this one right here, another one. This is strictly vocabulary, all right? The preposition here can help you, but this is dealing with vocabulary. So I'm looking at ceiling, engine, skeleton, concrete. All right, so it's still talking about a building, and I feel like an engine does not belong in a building. The engine belongs in a car, right? So the engine is probably not likely. Ceiling, skeleton belongs in living things, right? So maybe not skeleton, but concrete. All right, so let's take a look at the clues or the reading itself. So this right here, steel beams and columns. So this is tricky now. What is this talking about? So something of. So usually like made of something. So this is steel beams. Beams is in a building what goes across, right? And then columns are the ones that go down, right? Something like that inside a building. So these are the internal parts of the building. This is the frame. So now what I'm thinking is they're trying to trick us. They're trying to use a word that we might not associate with building, which is skeleton. Do you agree? Inside our bodies, we have bones. The frame of our body that holds our body together would be the skeleton, right? The bones. So the bones of a building, which are steams and columns, these are steel, made of steel, metal, that would be a skeleton for the building. So in this part right here, when you see skeleton, we actually couldn't remove it right away because they're using it as an expression, I guess. All right, so that's what I would pick. And then the last one right here, we have another one that's dealing with, okay, this is a collocation. Right away when I'm scanning it. All right, so we're dealing with construction here. We're dealing with construction. So with that said, we don't have words that are directly connected to construction here, like encourage. I guess you can say that. Interrupt, yes. Halt. Consecrate. Consecrate is the one that I would say no. We can't consecrate construction. If you look up that word, it's usually dealing with things that's like blessing something. Okay, more like maybe even religious, but doesn't have to be. But I would eliminate consecrate, and now we'll look at the clues. What do we do with the construction here? I don't think it's going to be encourage. I think it's either going to be interrupt or halt, okay? Because they're looking at a negative word. Fall down. Construction, fall down. Do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing? It better be a bad thing to you, all right? Construction and fall down. So that's why I would say either halt or interrupt, because these two words are negative words, right? If you don't know what halt means, this is where vocabulary comes in, right? Halt means stop, okay? It means stop. So if you look at this word right here, when I see the word until, it tells me it's not interrupt. You don't interrupt construction until, you stop it until, or you halt construction until, right? You stop until a certain time. And what is that time? So they want to fix that, improve the safety of the building or safety of the construction or safety of the structure, right? So to me, because there's going to be a period of time, it's not going to be interrupt, it's going to be halt. Because usually interrupt is a short period of time. And that's my answer. All right, so these are my answers here, and let's check it. And there you go. All right, so that's why on the exam, on my website, it doesn't give you the explanation. So if you don't know the answer and you got it wrong, you just know what the right answer is. And now this is what the video is for. You know why the answer is correct. I hope that helps.